There's different forces in society. We have, economics, we have politics, we have legal forces. But if we look at those perspectives without the understanding of how religion has shaped those, I think that is a tendency that will make us not as competent as scholars, not as competent as academics, not as competent as diplomats, as leaders, not as competent to be able to solve the problems of the 21st century.
So Nabeel, you're studying global media and communications here at LSE.
Yeah.
And you took part in Beecken Faith and Leadership in the Faith Centre over the last academic year.
I did. In the social sciences, we study people, and what they believe and how they act in the world will have an implication as to how we understand it. What we did in the Beecken Faith Leadership is to really look at the interaction of religion with other spheres of society, such as the public sphere, how it's expressed, what are the challenges in expressing different faith ideas. The number of adherents to religion are increasing with time, so the more we are able to grasp those upcoming challenges and the more we are able to understand them, the better we are as people who can see the world with a fuller picture rather than just a partial picture as to who's living in it.
We're an institution located in a part of the world where religion has been receding in importance in public life, and yet at this university we gather people from all around the world, and as you indicated in what you just said, people are coming from places where religion is perhaps of increasing importance in their own identities, in national identities, and in a lot of the conflicts that people are addressing around the world too.
Absolutely agree. Well, I can really resonate with that. So one of the things that drew me to understanding conflict and religion is because I myself am from a part of the world where there is conflict going on, and my parents, they had to flee that region of the world. If you don't understand the religious perspective, regardless of what social science lens you apply to that conflict, you are only seeing a fraction of the entire dynamic that takes place, because if we're studying people in the social science, we're studying societies, we also have to understand what they believe in and what sort of governs their actions, and oftentimes religion is of extreme importance to people. I think some of the most useful skills that I've learned were the skills to be able to find ways to resolve conflict, as well as manage crisis situations where you have various groups of people who believe very different things outside of institutional contexts where there's laws governing things, and have to get them to agree with each other and understand one another.
What's interesting is that we're now living in an age of polarization around what we're calling culture wars, and and sometimes religion is caught up in some of those culture wars. But I hope what we're giving people through the Faith and Leadership program is also a skill set that extends beyond just interfaith disputes and so forth, to thinking about how do we navigate really entrenched disagreement.
It definitely provides you with a toolbox, a way of thinking about things, and a way of navigating those conflicts so that they can actually combat what you were discussing, which is polarization. And that comes from a lot of learning how to listen very actively, for example. And that's something that we brought up a lot of time, active listening, and really making the other person feel heard and understood. That kind of dynamic way of thinking about leadership is really, really powerful because it enhances all areas of life. Community leaders who can tap into religious communities, which is a large population here in this country and all over the world, a majority even, whether it's climate action or world peace or ending hunger. These are values that are shared across religious frameworks, and finding out what those values are and seeing the differences between them is a way you can also unite them together, and then also have a much more powerful force to respond to the challenges of the 21st century.
And climate change, I think, is a particularly important issue because in a way we know what we need to do to reduce carbon emissions and to reach net zero and so forth, but what's required is behavioural change, and behavioural change will only come about through a really deep drawing on people's values. And so it seems to me that tapping into religious narratives is going to be a really important vehicle for responding to the challenges of the climate emergency.
Absolutely agreed. No, I genuinely believe that there's many religious ways to approach this problem, because there's always been within all religions this tendency towards moderation. They always talk about being considerate of the environment, being considerate of the planet. We're reaching the same conclusions, and I think that's a really big deal, that people are reaching the same conclusions. And the problem is, when we don't talk to each other, we don't realize how similar we are. And I think when we don't realize how similar different groups are, we don't want to work together. And I think it will take a leader of some sort, a transformative leader, to be able to bridge those different groups together. And I think what the Beecken Faith Leadership is offering is the opportunity for you to become that leader and to sort of fill that gap. Yeah.